thank you so much for coming. I got Ivy Mugler here. It's a pleasure to have you here. I love, like I was already telling you, I love interviewing people that like intrigue me. Everybody that's been on here, I am either a fan or I greatly respect what you do. So it really means a lot to me that you take your time out to come here and have this conversation with me. So first, I know you're real young. Tell me how you got introduced to ballroom, and yeah,
Okay.
tell me where you're from and how you got introduced to ballroom.
Okay, word. Well, first, thank you for asking me to do this
No
because I
problem.
watch these so down, so I'm
Yes.
so hyped. So I'm 22. I'm from New York City. I live in the Bronx. My parents are from Harlem, like old school East Harlem and Brownsville from back in the days.
Right.
And I got introduced to ballroom through my parents because my parents were in the club scenes back in the day. So I'm talking like the 70s, 80s, like Studio 54, The Loft. I'm a little bit like of Danceteria. So my parents were dancers, specifically my father. And he put me on to what voguing was. And he used to describe it as like all these people rolling around on the floor and exchanging energy in the clubs at like 5, 6 o'clock in the morning. And he used to talk about the girls coming in. They used to come in like at night and everything, so like they wouldn't be caught by people outside. And so he put me on to all these type of things and showed me Paris is Burning when I was 12.
Wow.
At first I wasn't into it, no shade. I get bored. But then as I got further in like my artistic journey, I was turned on to ballroom, especially it was through one of my mentors actually, who said I reminded them of Danielle Polanco, and I didn't know who that was. And I did my research and I found out she was a ninja, and I got so immersed into her and I was obsessed. I didn't know that a woman could do all that. And then my dad introduced me to Archie Burnett, who is one of the founders of the House of Ninja. And when I first met him, he was just like my uncle. And then I was talking to him about how I'm obsessed with ballroom and like I don't know nothing about it, but I love the ninjas and I want to be a ninja. And then he put me on that he was one of them and that he was a part of it. And then from there I started training in Old Way. And I was about 17, 18. And then I made my way to New York City and I was here and I was kind of lost. Like I had no idea what I was doing. But I met my first gay father, Jason Rodriguez, who was an amazing new wave voguer. I met him in class and he put me on. And from there, I was in ballroom and I started to walk in June 2021. I was dibble and dabble. I was in it a little bit. Like I knew girls. I was kind of in it like industry wise.
Right.
But I wasn't walking. And then in June 2021, I was like, no, I have to do this. Like I'm done. And
what was
I
it?
came out.
What made you just make that leap of faith?
So I was already kind of training in Vogue Femme a little bit. I was doing New Wave, but specifically New Wave. Like I didn't want to do anything else, quite honestly. And then I got hurt doing New Wave. I got hurt in the studio and I had knee surgery and I had to wait and watch all my friends and like people I respected and was training with. I had to watch them all start their journeys without me. And so then I was just hungry for it. Nothing could have stopped me. And so I just got better. I trained down as much as I could. I found my first clip of Yolanda, and that was that. And I knew that I wanted to be dramatic.
Yeah.
And then I needed to come out.
Yeah.
There was nothing else on my mind that year except that.
What was it about Old Way that made you, on first, when you first got introduced to it, what made you first want to be so, like loyal to Old Way? Because you said you didn't want to do anything but Old Way.
Yeah, Old Way and New Way was
different
my shit.
from a newcomer. Normally, like Old Way and New Way, those are primarily walked by, well, maybe not in New York, but they're primarily walked by like older people or people that are just
very back in the days about the situation.
Yes.
Yeah, it's very back in the days.
So, what, as a young person, what attracted you to that category? For you to want that to be your category? So
I always grew up with boys. Like I have 3 brothers. I never had sisters. And when I first started getting into freestyle and hip hop and dance, I first started with like classical dance, like the ballets, the jazz, the tap. But I was always into waving and popping and crumping. And so I was always around a lot of masculine energy, but I didn't know how to release that myself. And I've always been feminine, but I like to experiment within my art with the dichotomy of different aspects of myself. And so in Old Way, I found that I could express that strong part of me that I couldn't do anywhere else. And
so
it
you
also
felt like accepted doing Old Way.
Yeah, and it let me use my things that I already knew at the time. Like I knew how to wave, I knew how to pop, I knew how to touch, like I knew how to do all those type of things. I knew how to glide. So using those elements of Old Way was a lot easier for me at first than doing Vogue Femme, which is like very feminine.
You want some fab ballroom exclusive content on the ballroom scene? Download Ballroom Culture TV app right now.
The women that I've talked to in on this series, a lot of them said that like, you know, Vogue Femme helped them bring out the more feminine side of them. So it's interesting that you were honestly attracted to something that you could connect to your more masculine side, even by you being a tomboy. You growing up as a cisgender woman, have you ever, even whether it be from family or just, you know, maybe kids at school, have you ever been like bullied or picked on because of your tomboyness?
Yes. Like, so I grew up in the Bronx, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when I went to Catholic school, I remember we had to wear like jumpers. And if you know old school Catholic school, that's like the little like tie with the skirt. And I begged to wear pants. Like, I absolutely begged. And they stopped me from wearing it because it got to a point where I guess it made everyone else so uncomfortable that I just didn't want to wear a skirt and didn't want to like be completely like that all the time.
Right.
That they made me stop. So I've definitely always kind of gotten shit for it. But that's why I found like freestyle hip hop and Old Way. That's why I attracted to those things, because I found that it was the first place that people didn't judge me for being like that. That I was able to accept and express it even more so than I had beforehand.
That's dope. So, you joined the House of Ninja, you said?
No, so I was really close with the ninjas, and I feel like I maybe in another universe I was a ninja, but my first house was the Extravaganzas, and I got through that because my gay father at the time joined the house, and I was training with him heavily, and Extravaganzas really knows a New Way house. Like, their New Way history goes deep, deep, especially with Jose and all the girls back then. So I joined the House of Extravaganza. But it kind of didn't get anywhere because when I joined, it was a pandemic. So I joined in December, only for the pandemic to happen in March. So I was training, getting to know them, and I was more like, when you join a house, like, you do the more like family, the integration. Like, there's an integration period, and then you start walking and all that. I think it's kind of not really common that like you join the next day you walk. At least not now, because, you know, people want to build trust with you and stuff like that. So that's where I was.
It probably depends on the person.
Yeah, it depends on the person, damn. But especially the cis woman, like,
and
they're
the
gonna take a second. Yeah, they're gonna take a second to be like, all right, is she cool?
Really want to be around?
Yes. Is it giving fag hag, or is it giving like, yes, like she's here for the shit, and I was here for the shit, and I was training down. But then the pandemic happened, and then when we came back, I'd hurt myself, and then the travelers were kind of like not in the mode to walk anymore. Like, they were at first, like they were like, we're gonna make a return, work that out, and then when it came back, it was given. This is ironic, but
what was what made them not be in the mode to walk anymore?
I'm not sure. I think it just was like the sprout of energy that was there before.
Maybe different leadership.
Yeah,
different leadership.
Yeah, and then also, you know, a lot of these travelers are old, so like when COVID hit, it was like, you know what I mean? Like, it was rough.
It's dangerous for older people.
Yes, it was a little rough. and I was trying to run practices and do things, and I just, through my experiences with Strava, I learned that sometimes with old girls, like, I was 20 doing all this. I was 20, like, running spaces, running practices, doing things. I remember Giselle once came and she was gagging because I fully ran practice. And it was a whole key. I couldn't even I couldn't duck walk. I couldn't dip right because I couldn't even walk right. So it was like, I'm doing all these things and like, I'm still healing myself. But that's when I learned with old girls sometimes, they don't like younger girls coming in and possibly giving the perception that they're going to take over stuff. Because I think that's what it maybe had looked like. But I just wanted to train. Like, I was just like, whatever was going to happen is going to happen. Like, I'm going to get there and I'm going to get us there.
You felt like, I guess you felt in a way like your ambition was, like you had, intimidated them by your ambition a little bit.
Yeah, because there was no one else doing it. Like, there was literally no one else doing it. Like, I was the youngest member of the house and I was the most ambitious one, like doing everything.
Yeah.
To the point where I wasn't even telling people I was playing for studios and stuff like that. I was just doing it because I loved it and because I had just started my Vogue Femme journey. Like, those rehearsals are the first ones where I did Vogue Femme and like felt it and felt comfortable. Did a Macaella for the first time. Okay. Like, those rehearsals, I was growing. So for me, it was,
Do you see yourself pursuing like like teaching classes, everything like that, like being an educator?
Down, but not yet.
What do you think you need more until you can reach that status?
Ooh, that's a good question. I just think more experience, like more experience being out there. Cause I've only been walking since June 2021. And I think people have the perception of me because I do all the styles of Vogue and because I came out swinging, like no shade, that I've been doing it for mad long. But I've only been
like when you told me you only been walking for 2 years, I'm like, really?
And it's 2 years in June. Like, it's not even 2 years yet. It's about a year and a half now, like officially walking. Not like KiKi.
But that's good though, because I mean, you made a lot of noise.
Yeah, and I just want more experience. I want more knowledge. Like, I really want to know what I'm talking about. I don't ever want to be a person that goes and teaches for profit. Like, that's not my thing. Like, I was just in LA, and I wasn't able to teach, but I was literally going to do a free class, and that's, like, what I'm going to do when I go back there, because my thing is, like, about the community, about community building. I know that's where I learned, and that's where I got better, and that's my favorite part of Ballroom. My favorite part of Ballroom is not teaching at, like, a Millennium or teaching on a BDC. Even though those are great, and, like, those will come eventually. But right now, like, it's giving community based. It's giving just being there for the girls.
And never lose it. Even though, you know, the scene may have been created for, gay men, trans women, you know, women can still come into the scene and get just as much as, you know, the rest of us can.
100%. Like, I started the same way everyone kind of else does, or at least the way you see it back in the days. Like, I was in a backpack in somebody's apartment going to balls and figuring it out, you know, until I got my feet in the city, and through that I got my feet in Ballroom.
Yeah, for real. Like, the way I got introduced to Ballroom is kind of similar to how you did, except, you know, it was your biological parents who put you onto it. But like, that same thing that happened to me. They showed me Paris is Burner and then took me to a ball. Like, so yeah, I definitely do see that. Now, this next question, I can cut it out if you're uncomfortable answering it. What's your sexual orientation?
Me? Well, I'm a cisgender woman, but I identify sexually as pansexual.
Okay, so to you, what does that mean?
That for me, it doesn't matter what's down there or gender. It more matters in how I feel about you, and that sex and things of that like type of nature are an experience rather than something that's like cut and dry, black and white.
So maybe could even categorize it like sapiosexual or something like that.
Ooh, what's that?
Like
I mean, what's that?
You got to be like attracted mentally.
Yes, yeah.
Before
for me,
you can be attracted physically.
100%, 100%.
So, how do you feel? Because actually, it hasn't come out yet, but I interviewed Pac Rat from LA, and she told me that like one of her gripes with the scene is that most of the women are straight, and that she feels like one of the only gay girls. And it's just like she might see a girl and maybe like, hey, how you doing? Like, might try to flirt with her or something. She's straight. Talking about within Ballroom spaces. Have you felt, how do you think about that? Like, do you think that the most of the women in the scene are straight? They're not?
No.
You think they're just playing it? Or what?
Okay, I think it depends. So, like, okay, no shade. Like I've had my ballroom experiences, like with the Woods Queens, with the boys, with the girls, like well, I've had a variety of experiences.
Right.
But the girls I've talked to have been in ballroom. But I mean, it's a little different. I'm here in New York City, so everything's a little bit more.
Yeah, we talking about the other side.
Yeah, we have a lot more variety and stuff like that. Yeah. But but I think it depends. It depends on who you talk to, who you're attracted to. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And also, some of the girls just won't push you on that they are. So something you have to find out eventually. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, because I feel like in ballroom, at least with women, it's tricky. Like sometimes. Like ballroom is very tricky with women. They either accept you 100% or they don't. So I feel like some people may even hide it or keep it down. But I feel like there are different relationships. Like I know that there's women with femme queens and there's women with women and there's, you know what I mean? There's all different types of relationships right now.
Yeah, I learned to not judge. Like it's, you know, whoever you want to be with, as long as they treat you right, why not? Yeah. So what are some of the ways, and we spoke about it before the interview, but for the sake of, doing it on camera, what are some of the ways that you feel that ballroom doesn't accept women?
Ooh. If they speak their mind. Because I feel like sometimes we're expected to be here as visitors. And I get that, but at the same time though, like when you have experiences like mine, like some of my friends, that like this is their lifeline just as much as it is yours. Like it's a lifeline. Like I don't know where I would be without ballroom. Like fuck career wise, life wise. Like ballroom taught me how to put a plate over my head, how to put food on the table when I don't got it. Ballroom taught me how so many life things. And I feel like sometimes if we have an opinion on ballroom, it's like, no, shut up. Like, you're a woman. Like, you're not supposed to be here. And it's very easy to say that. It's very easy.
Seen but not heard.
Seen but not heard, exactly. And I mean, not everyone's, like, mind you, you have to be respectful. Like, you can't just be an asshole, right?
Right.
But, like, if something bothers you or you feel disrespected in some type of way, like, I think you should be allowed to speak up. Yeah. If you don't, then it just continues and it gets worse.
I was actually talking to a white woman, and she, was getting into it with like somebody that was black. And I was telling her, like, you got to be careful, because even if you're in the right, all the person got to do is whip out their phone and call you Karen. And next thing you know, it's a viral video.
And then you're done.
So same thing for the women, and you're not white, but, somebody could just play that woman card, or like you said, you're not from here. But like you said, no. I feel like if you contribute to the scene, you put your best foot forward, you pay for those flights, you walk those balls, I feel like you deserve a space in the scene. Period. So, how is your like dating life when it comes to ballroom? Because for a lot of us, ballroom consumes our life. Being a pansexual, if you do happen to link up with a heterosexual man, do you have to explain ballroom or what?
Ooh, it never works. What? It never works. When I'm with like a heterosexual person, it almost like never works. Like I'm always usually typically in a relationship with someone that's like queer at this point, like in some way, shape, or form. Ballroom, because ballroom is my life. It's in my language. It's the way I speak, the way I talk, the way I hold myself. So it's like with hetero people, it never works for me. It never does. Because they can either never understand the commitment, at least from what I've experienced,
right,
or B, it's just like overwhelming. It's overwhelming because it's a lot. Yeah, it's just too much. And most of the people I've dated at this point have been in ballroom, and that's people identify as male, people identify as female. Most of them have been in ballroom, which has helped a lot, because it's like, and I always feel more comfortable with it because you get where I'm coming from.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, I get what you're saying. I definitely do. It's like a heterosexual man has been programmed to a certain degree to push that away. And now it's like, it's almost your whole life. Not your whole life, but it's a big part of your life.
Yes, and they get intimidated by the butch queens. Like, remember I had a boyfriend when I first started getting into ball, when I started doing New Way, like 2019, 2020, and he would see me with my brothers and be like, who's this? Who's that? Who's this? Who's that? And it's like, he couldn't grasp the fact that, like, these are my siblings. Like I'm laying with these people, we're chilling out. These are my siblings. Like, there is nothing sexual going on here. These are people that I consider family. That's something going on. To a doctor's appointment, they're going to call me their sister. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, people that I consider my family. Oh yeah, and I've definitely had to like beat that out of my friends because I do have straight friends, like strictly heterosexual male friends. When they think the whole Ivy thing is like hilarious because they're like they think it's like an alter ego. That's how they take it like you're a superhero with like a different like
Right.
mask. Like that's how my guy friends take it. And like I've had my butch queen friends around my brothers who are all straight. I've had them around my femme queen friends. Like I've had them around my people, and I've just like come to find out that as long as they realize that they're still people and it comes both ways, like they don't like hit on my brothers, but then my brothers don't look at them like this, like there's a good balance there.
Right.
Cause my brother's cute, and so my friends love to think he's cute.
So okay. So and I love that you found family within this thing. I love that.
Down, I have my 3 kids. It's me. I have my gay parents. Like, yeah, I'm pretty solidified. Especially with my Muglers. Like, it's Mugler like swimwear. What is?
Yeah.
They're my people, and I'm so grateful for that because I feel like a lot of the people that have mentored me or the people that I know like are consistently bouncing around and don't feel like they don't have a place
Right.
or are always having problems. And I'm like so grateful that I haven't experienced it to like a humongous extent. And I've only been here for a short amount of time, and I've experienced a lot of things I feel like people experience over years being in ballroom.
Yeah.
But I'm happy that I found my people.
Yeah. No.
Like for sure.
So being, you know, that you found your people, I know it's also have to be been some, you know, unpleasurable things as far as like maybe people being disrespectful to you, like in the scene. I know like gay men can particularly be very spiteful towards women, even in just maybe not even, you know, actual offenses, but even in just the name that we call y'all sometimes. Not we, but you know, we.
Yeah, I know girls that get offended. They call us like the cons.
Do you get offended by stuff like that?
No, it makes me feel like a queen. It makes me feel caught. Like, but then again, like I have a very high tolerance for things. Like I'm a little different. Like but I grew up with brothers, so my skin is thick. Boots. Like I grew up with boys, so it's thick when it comes to that. For me, what it is more is like the notion of, so you want to act like us, you want to hang like us, we're going to treat you like us. That's when I'm like, all right. Because it's different calling me the cons and thing, like all that shit. Like, I get that. But disrespecting me is a completely different story. Which is why I kind of even took a step back, a cute little step back. So I was like, oh, I'm making myself too accessible to you. And because I'm too accessible to you, you feel the need to treat me this way. And I'm not a perfect person. I'll never call myself a perfect person. But no one deserves to be disrespected in a space that's made to be safe for all of us.
Give me an example of how somebody just really just cried the fuck out of you. Like to where you were just like, hold on.
Okay, let's get into it. Playhouse. Oh my god, wow, the KiKi scenes in the gag. I have not addressed this like ever. But so Playhouse. So so I came up with my whole production. I was one of the Playhouse kids, right? And to begin with, like, I wasn't even supposed to be a Playhouse kid. If you know what the Playhouse kids are, it's a thing that was created in the KiKi scene. And it's like, I don't know, like the information is leaving me a little bit, but it's a really popular ball. They choose teams, and the person that wins, they become the Playhouse kids. And it's like a title in the KiKi scene. It's like a big thing. Yeah. And so my ball was the return of the Playhouse kids, and I was the team captain. And I was the only cis woman, like, I think I was like the first ever cis woman team captain.
Wow.
And the first thing that people told me was I was never supposed to be there because I'm a cis woman. So why do I deserve such a title in the KiKi scene? And so it was that off the bat where people were like, do you even deserve
this was
to
in
have
New York?
this? Yeah, so last year. Like, they were like, do you even deserve to have this because you're a cis woman doing this? So from the bat, I felt like I had something to prove. So I really carried. I did Missy Elliott. I created all my own beats. I created my own production. Byro helped me. My gay father, he helped me master it. I did my choreography, like looks, everything. Like I outsourced. Like it was crazy. I really did everything. I really carried. And then when I got to the ball, I was tried so many times, like so many times. And I usually was keep it cute on panel, like keep it keep it real cunt. This ball, I fought back. I fought back. Like, I was really like, I was carrying. No shade. I was carrying. No shade. But I had never felt the need to stand up for myself before. And it was my first time doing it. And I was like, you know what, y'all stay disrespectful. And I wasn't being disrespectful. I was just being way too honest. Like, way too honest. And it got to one battle where I was battling somebody, this butch queen, like 3 times my size.
Right.
And when I went to go dip, he like fell in between first he pushed me and I pushed him back and he did not move not one single muscle, but I flew because he was humongous compared to me. And so like just tall, just size wise. And I forgot what happened. We were battling and I took a step back and I went to go dip and he fell in between my leg. And this is my bad knee. And so I blacked. Like I really blacked. I was like, how you have time to have me battle somebody this big? Like, how do you have me battling something like this? How are you not like telling him to stop touching me? Like, why is he touching? Like, I just started going wild. Yeah. And the KiKi scene, ooh, they took me on a ride. They took me on a ride. They called me homophobic. They called me fatphobic.
Did they?
They called me everything. Yeah, they carried on my soul. To the point where my own house members at the time, cause of Telfar, my own house members at the time, like we got into it in the group chat and everything. So I stopped showing up. I stopped teaching. I stopped contributing because I was like, I'm doing a lot for y'all and for the scene, and y'all aren't giving me anything back. So I'm gonna take a step back. And when I took a step back, people don't like that either because it was kind of expected for me to say, "Oh, I'm so sorry," and then continue doing what I was doing. But I stopped, and like I haven't really walked KiKi scene since because I'm like, and mind you, I love KiKi scene down. Don't get me wrong, but I don't like that part of it, like the social part of it, like where it's like if I'm not friends with you, if I'm not this, if I don't do this, if I don't do that, it's like yeah, it's annoying. Like I hate and I don't do good. I hang out with people older than me all the time, so I don't. When it comes to people my age, I'm used to very mature settings, like very mature settings. So people my age, when they start carrying and doing all that, like, it's one thing about me, I'm not going to be nice. Like, But yeah, they tried me that ball. But it's okay because it taught me a lot of things. It taught me that only my talent should talk. My mouth shouldn't.
Yeah.
No shade. Only talent talk.
No, I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that because like we were saying, if you have something to say, you should be able to say it. Sometimes it's not what we say, but how we say it. You know, not what we say, but how we say it.
Exactly.
But if you have something to address, you just go ahead and say it. I hope you could like find your way back to the KiKi scene because like, what's that? Like, you feel uncomfortable in the KiKi scene, but you were mainstream. Like, you should be able to walk
both.
Whatever.
Yeah, you should be able to walk both. And I came into mainstream, so mainstream is kind of like a home for me. I never like I said, I never really grew up with people my age. Like even in Pennsylvania, like I was 16 being driven by 30-year-olds to go practice. Like that's always been my life. Like my friends have always been way older than me, so I grew up in a little bit of a different environment. So when I entered KiKi scene, it was like all around people my age. It was almost like overwhelming. So
because you're an old soul, so it's
and I'm not used to like the cattiness and the talking and something behind the back and all that stuff. And like the KiKi scene is beautiful, but at the same time though, it's a bunch of young people in a very competitive space. So you can't kind of expect anything less. You know what I'm saying? Like. And mind, like again, I stress that it's fab. Like I love the KiKi scene energy. I still go to all the sessions. I do my own sessions. My kids got balls. I'm helping them out behind the scenes. Like, so I'm still like involved. Involved. I just had to take a break for a second because I was like, whoa, like those experiences. And then when I left my house and like the things they told me when I left and like I don't want to get into it because they're in my house too. So that's like I really don't want to like read. I don't want to get into it because we also. That was also the tricky thing is that like my KiKi scene house and my mainstream house are very connected. And so, yeah, like there's a lot of people from my mainstream house in my former KiKi scene house. So it was just tricky boots. Like it was tricky boots. You know what I mean? I had to find like maturity in the way of that. Like no matter what happened there, pay it because you're a mainstream.
Yeah.
Pay it. Like two different worlds. Like you could not like somebody here, but when you're on that floor together, no shade.
No, for real. For real. And like, you were saying, like, with the politicalness, I mean, to be honest, like, and people hate it when I say it on these interviews, I do not see a difference between mainstream and KiKi. Half the time, it's the same people in there. It's the same rules. It's the same structure. The only thing is, it's kind of became like a B-side scene to the mainstream. And I even feel like that is kind of like, puts people at a disadvantage because you're making it seem like this scene isn't as talented as the mainstream scene, or you know, people say it's all about fun. It's all about fun, but when they book me for KiKi balls, they be
No,
acting the
it's
same
serious,
as a,
and that does piss me off because I'm like, no, it's just as serious. Like those kids train just as hard.
yeah.
Like if anything, they're training sometimes no shade harder than those mainstream houses and carrying even more. Sometimes the clips that go viral on Instagram, Facebook are KiKi scene clips, not mainstream clips. It's very rare that I see a lot of mainstream clips going viral. It's always KiKi scene.
And that's
And
why I
there's a
hate it when
reason why they vogue the way they do. Like Devo, he vogued for 2 years in the KiKi scene and then came to the mainstream and wiped the girls out. When girls like Chaos, girls were already out. And he came in and made an impact. Why? Because he was in the KiKi scene training, getting his thing, learning his craft. Like the KiKi scene is super fucking important. That's where that's when you become yourself. So when you go to the mainstream, you don't lose yourself.
That's a good way to put it. So, we spoke briefly about, you know, the switch over from extravaganza to Mugler. What situation was more painful, the switch from extravaganza to Mugler or the switch from Teflar to 007?
Telfar.
By far.
By far.
Okay.
Because I invested, with extravaganza, I was young investing into things I didn't understand.
You're still young.
Because
okay.
yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm 22.
Talking about I was young.
I mean, but I was like 19, like doing all my birthday is June 1st. I'm a Gemini. And I was 19 doing all this, right? And then when I was 20, I was named Westball because of that July. So like I was literally like I was just watching and just doing things from videos, and not even like real. Like I did not know who No Tamaya was. I didn't know who any of those girls were. I was like Deja, Christina, Yolanda. Leanne, yeah, I was Alora, old school boots, like, so I was watching those clips and picking up from those clips and bringing them to like whatever, and just trying to figure it out and put the pieces together. And so it was a little different, but no, Telfar, that burned, that hurt. I'm not gonna hold you, but it wasn't because of the situation, more or less. It was more because I bonded with them, and it was my first experience loving a house, like going hard. Like I had never experienced that with a group in my life, like. Where no shade, you said something about Telfar, I know shade, I was in your inbox, I was giving what, like, I was on the floor, like, I would walk balls, and 2 Telfars were there, and I would still carry and win, like, I wouldn't care. Yeah. Like, I would be helping everybody, helping with effects, like, it was my first time doing that, so that's why it hurt more. It was less a situation, but more because I really committed myself to something, and that was my first ever experience doing so.
Yeah, that makes sense. So, and that's what I mean, like, people make it, I hate it when people say, "Oh, it's just KiKi."
No, it's a family.
Yeah,
like it's a family. I can't stress how much it's a family. Like I've gone through something, and no shade, in the height of my Telfar-isms, like they helped me out down. Like, and those are the people that held me down. I remember one time, they're gonna key. We all had COVID at the same time. Like the whole house.
Wow.
It was like, and we all were on the phone all together, like 30, 40 of us, and we held each other down. Like we could have all been alone if we didn't have each other. Yeah. But we held each other down, and we all got better. But it was a key of a time. Yeah. So it was like every day, like, hey, like you good, like just stuff like that, like just holding each other down.
Okay, I understand that. So what? You walked Old Way, New Way. Women's performance, Vogue and Femme. It's not called Vogue Femme, but women's.
I know, I hate calling it women's performance though.
Why?
Because it feels like such a box, and the women Vogue boring. I don't like it. Like it's like you gotta be a certain type of girl. No, like there's certain girls, no shade, and I can name them. Like there's girls that really carry for me. No shade, Venus, Riley, Shantae, like Candace. Like there's girls. Don't get me wrong.
You know what I think it is with the girls? I feel like a lot of them may not be like as connected to the scene, because the girls that you just named, they're like you said, you're involved in the scene. You got gay family. Y'all are actually in it. I think a lot of these cis women, they'll come to like the biggest ball of the year, like Latex, thinking they just gonna pop out there. Like, no, you have to learn. Like, you got to go to a Vogue night, go to like these mini balls, work your confidence up, get your face out there, because there is still a certain level of politicalness to it. Get your face out there. You just popping out at the biggest ball. No, they gonna send you on your way because you don't even know what you're doing yet. Let alone, and then sometimes you could know what you're doing, but different stages are different. You get to them big balls on them big stage, like it's just a different feeling, as opposed to like a Vogue night that's just on the floor, you know. So What category have you not walked that you would like to walk?
Sex siren. And I've walked it in KiKi, and I walked it at OTA as a key, and I was so lit. Like, I was so nervous, but yeah, sex siren.
What about sex siren attracted you to want to walk that?
So it's so funny how I said like, well, old way, like I was experimenting with like my masculinity and stuff.
Right.
I feel like to a point it got like a little too masculine, so people were like only seeing me as like a tomboy and stuff. And in 2021, I went through a situation where all my stuff was stolen. And so I was, yeah, all my things were stolen from my roommate, left all my stuff outside while I was on set. And so all my things were stolen from me, like everything I owned. And so all I had were two things people donated to me. Shout out to Ballroom, though, they gave me mad money because they helped me out. But I was wearing mostly like sweats and sweaters and like shit that was donated to me, right? And so I came off, and my image for a second was hella masculine. So I started working at the club and experimenting, no shade, with my femininity again, because at the club you're selling sex, you're selling femininity. You know what I mean? For guys that don't get that at all. Yeah. And so then when I saw Sex Siren, I was like, all right, y'all think I'm just a boy. And I get that. And it got to a point where like, it was cute. Y'all call me a boy. At first I was like, oh my God, it's endearing. And then it got to a point where like, y'all really call me too much. And like, y'all gonna understand I'm a woman still.
Right.
And so then I walked and I carry.
Right.
And so that's why I like it. That's why I don't walk Sex Siren more. Cause it's just so fun. Like, you could see me in old way and like a pair of like joggers, sneakers. Right. Yeah. And then I strip out and it's like, oh, a lady.
And I think that's the beauty of Ballroom, is literally something for everybody. And it's so many categories to where you can express yourself in so many different ways.
Down.
So, do you have a want to even find a new KiKi house or wherever, or?
Mhm. Yeah, okay. And I got my family already. It's just finding the moment.
Okay, so you got a debut.
Yeah, I just got a debut. It's just finding that moment.
I got you.
Yeah, and I really like them because it's a key. When they see this, I really like them for two reasons. Number one, they're really a family, and I've known them for a very long time. And some of the people that before I was even walking, they were around me, and I was like, we've like come back, and we kind of like our paths have gone like this, and it's like, oh shit, this is like, and that turns me on. I'm very about alignment. Yes, so I'm very about alignment in that way, and also career wise. Something that I struggled with when I was in KiKi scene first was that because I'm a professional, like I'm a movement artist, I do a lot of like directing, choreography, modeling, I do a lot of that type of stuff. Sometimes it can get in the way of me walking. Like I haven't been able to walk this year pretty much at all because I've been working a lot. But they're cool with it. Like there's an understanding there that I'm representing Ballroom in a different way, and that I can't pull myself thin. And that when it happens, it will be perfect. And I really appreciate that mindset because no shade, like I will go insane for not walking the ball. Like,
and you got to remember, like these balls, they're gonna be here. A lot of these opportunities might not.
I know, it just comes back to the time when my leg was hurt and I was sitting there in a full body cast, watching my friends do their thing and watching like everyone be like, and then me having to sit there and be like, so it's like those feelings are always kind of lingering. Because I am still young, gagged. So it's like, you know what I mean? Like, those feelings are always kind of lingering, but I'm learning how to now accept that and have it empower me rather than tear me down. Because I be wanting to walk. Yeah. I love it. Like, I love the energy. I just love the feeling of being on that floor. It's addictive. Yeah. It's a drug that I can't get enough of.
Yeah. And I think that's what keeps people coming back. Like, when you look at Ballroom, we literally have generations of people. It's literally like, you know, and I think that's what keeps people coming back. Is even the people on the panels, they're still performers at the core, deep down inside.
Yes. Like, and those are my favorite. That's why I love being with the older girls. Yeah. I don't like saying old girls anymore. I feel like old girls means like you're like in like a cane, like in a nursing home. Right. But I'll say the older girls because like their experience and watching them perform, like,
it's so different.
Oh my God, I could sit there for days. And that's one thing about me. I love to perform, but something I love to do even more is watch. Yeah. And I love watching. It's so crazy. I'm like, oh my God. Like, Like,
that's dope. So speaking of watching, there's a cis woman that's watching you right now. And she may like be interested in joining Ballroom, but she doesn't know how to do it. Only thing she knows is YouTube. She sees stuff on YouTube. She stumbled across interviews. How does she, one, build up the courage, and two, how does she actually navigate through joining the scene? How do you find a family? How do you do that?
So I would say first, when you do your research, start looking at the oldest stuff you can find. Don't start with things that you see recently. Do your research, know the history. Because it kind of bothers me. This is a side note, but there was a post on Facebook about somebody that hadn't watched Paris is Burning. And it really pissed me off because I was like, why are you here? If you're not doing the history, like, how are you here? You're not knowing who was here before you. Who was paving the way, who was walking so you could run.
Was that a cis woman or a butch queen? Or
it was just someone on Facebook. It was
somebody random, I guess.
Yeah, but that's what I would say for like cis women, like, do your research, know what you're coming into, watch the balls. If you can, go to one of the clubs where they be at. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Don't be afraid to DM, because you never know what kind of talent you have within you, especially once the right person gets a hold of you. Because I think for cis women, you can find it by yourself, and it's cool to be introduced by another woman. But when you find that bush queen or that femme queen, that person with that built-in essence to come and take it out of you, oh, you wanna fly. It's done.
Yeah.
And just have fun. Like, don't take it too seriously, because it's all fun, and allow ballroom to show you more about yourself. Don't allow it to close you up more. Like, use it to love yourself more. Because that's what I use ballroom for. And every time I walk a ball, I always feel amazing about myself. Because I know that I did it.
And I don't know if we said it on the interview, but I asked you your, not your nationality, but your racial makeup or whatever.
Yeah, I'm Puerto Rican and French.
Puerto Rican and French. That's dope. So I just want to thank you for just coming here, sharing your story, sharing your wisdom. Like you said, a lot of people feel like the cis women don't. A lot of people feel like the cis women shouldn't have anything to say. A lot of them feel like that y'all don't even have a space in the scene. I don't agree with that. Even though women might not be discriminated against on the same level as gay and trans people, you still face discrimination. Hell, you face it from us sometimes. So I just appreciate just seeing y'all in the scene. Like I said, the women of the ballroom scene are like anomalies to me. Like, I just like, where the hell did y'all come from? And the way that y'all tap into the culture to where you can then teach the culture to somebody else. I think that's dope as fuck. So my last question, I ask everybody, describe yourself in 5 words or less.
Ooh, 5 words or less. All right. Dedicated, loyal, creative. Dedicated, loyal, creative. Adaptable. I don't know if that's a word, but that's what we use. Adaptable. My next one's gonna be crazy.
Crazy. Why crazy?
Because I'm a little all over the place, no shade, but it's just part of my creative personality. Like I want to film something at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, but then I'm like, let's go to the ball. Like, I'm a little bit insane, but I think it adds to the flair of everything.
Yeah, I think you know, some of the people that they consider to be geniuses are all over the place. Some of the people that they consider to be geniuses are like that shit crazy. So, you know, don't feel no way about that. Like I said, it really means a lot to me for you to come here and, you know, just do this. It's so dope to get representation for the women. I've interviewed maybe at least like, I don't know, maybe like 8, 9, 10 women at this point from all over the country. And what's funny is y'all all have similar stories, but all different, all unique. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have Ivy Mugler.